Hello, cookie lovers. It's Corey from Sweet Notes Cookie Company, and today we're going to make buñuelos de viento. Some of you know about buñuelos, which are those flat tortilla-looking deliciousness that is fried, and then you coat in cinnamon sugar. But what we're going to be doing is using this special tool. I have two different sizes here, and this is a different kind of buñuelo. It also has cinnamon sugar, sometimes chocolate. We're going to try some of those. And you use these or you dip them in the batter. And so we're going to be making a batter. It's very, very similar to a crepe batter. You need these special tools. You can find them online, or if you're lucky like me, where we have a Mexican candy shop very close to where I live, I was able to find them there. And they usually have them around the holidays, and they have them right now, but you can look for them online. But it's a very simple tool. So we're going to get to making that batter. The batter is going to chill just like a crepe batter in the fridge for a little bit, and then we're going to come back and we're going to fry them up, and they're going to be delicious. Let's get started. I love these. The recipe that we have makes about 40 buñuelos de viento. What we're going to start with is our dry ingredients first. We're going to mix those in a bowl, and then after that we are going to mix our wet into this. What we need is a cup and a half of flour. I like to be a little more exact, and so I like to weigh everything to make sure that it's a little more accurate. And so I'm going to tear this out, and then we're going to add onto here 190 grams of flour. So if you're weighing, you can weigh out 190 grams of flour, but that's just because I like to be accurate. But if not, then you can measure out a cup and a half of flour. That's a little bit more than I need. Now this is going to be a bit on the runny side when we're done, and that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. And so what's really cool is you can make 40 buñuelos. So that's like for 40 people, you could make them one of these, and it's only a cup and a half of flour, which I absolutely love. So that what we're going to do is add a quarter teaspoon, that's 1/4 teaspoon of salt, just regular salt in here. And then we're going to add some baking powder. Make sure it's baking powder and not baking soda. They do totally different things. That's a long video to explain it. And also what you want to make sure is that your baking powder, sometimes you buy these and you don't use them very often. Well, they're not really good unless they're fresh or they're not. So you want to make sure they're not expired. So did you know that this has this little lip inside so that you can measure it just like that? Anyway, so this is half a teaspoon of baking powder. Oop, not baking soda. We're going to add that to there. And then we're going to put some sugar in here. So you can do 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar. But if 2 are good, guess what? 3 is even better. So we're going to do, here's 1. Here's 2, and here's 3. So this is all for the dry ingredients. So we're going to mix those together to make sure those are all mixed in. I don't need to do anything, so I'm going to whisk this together. So just to make everything that's supposed to be in there is in there now. Now what we need to do is set that aside, and we're going to mix our wet ingredients. What we need is 2 tablespoons, and that's measured out there, of melted butter. So I'm going to go ahead and melt it into this large dish, because then I'm going to add all of my wet ingredients here, and then we can mix more easily. We need to make sure that when we melt this and we bring it back, it's not hot, because we're going to add eggs to this and we don't want to cook our eggs. So let me go and heat this up in my microwave. So I'm heating that up at a low temperature because I don't want it to get hot. I just want it to melt. And so that's what is happening right now behind me. So I don't want it to be hot because it'll cook my eggs. So hey, it's ready. Here I go. Let me go get it. Okay. Just there. See, it's almost fully melted, but I want to make sure. I can feel the glass, and it's not hot, which is good. It's just a little bit, but it's not too hot. Make sure this is melted. There we go. Melted butter. So that is 2 tablespoons of melted butter. There we go. To this, we're going to add 2 eggs, 2 whole eggs. Here we go. Here's 1 and a 2 and a skiddly diddly doo. And there's our second egg. To this, we're also going to add a 1/4 cup of water. I have my 1/4 cup measuring here. And we're not going to measure over our cup because I don't want to spill extra water in there. So we're going to add a 1/4 cup of water to this. Here we go. And we're going to add vanilla, right? We've got our eggs, we've got our water, we've got our butter, and now we're going to add some really good Mexican vanilla to give it that really, really good taste. And what we're going to do is add 1 whole teaspoon of this stuff. And here we go. I'm going to pour it over because if I get a little extra, I'm not going to be worried about that because it's so good. Oh, I wish you guys could smell this. Okay, so over here we have our dry ingredients, and over here now we have our wet. So I'm going to whisk all of this together. What we're additionally going to do is also add in about a cup of milk. Now we want this batter to be runny much more runny than a pancake batter, if you've made pancakes, much more like a crepe batter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add this mixture in, and then we'll start adding the milk, because depending on the size of your eggs, you might not need a whole cup of milk. Maybe you need a little more. So we're gonna add this in to our dry ingredients, and then we're gonna whisk these together. See guys, this is really, really simple. The only key is having that tool. And like I said, if you order them online, or you can find them during the holidays or in those Mexican specialty stores. So now what I'm going to do is add the milk. Add about half of it. And we're going to mix this up again. And see carefully. Whisk this together. Get all the lumps out. And I will show you when it's at the right consistency. This is thick. This is almost at the consistency of a pancake batter, and that's not what we want. Well, I'm sure this would make delicious pancakes. That's not what we're going for. See, this is thick. We want it much, much runnier than that. And it's going to make for a thinner buñuelos, and they're going to be much, much crispier. You will not regret it. Okay, here we're going to add some more to this. And we're going to keep going. Let's mix this up. I know it looks runny, but that's really what we're going for. Trust me. Anyway, once the baking powder has a little bit of time to do its magic in there, all the chemistry that works when all these things are together in the fridge for about half an hour, it'll thicken up just a tiniest bit. This is still, let's see, it's almost about right. But I can feel like when I'm moving my whisk through here, a little bit of resistance, like it feels thick. And I don't want it to feel thick. I want it to feel almost watery. So let's go a little more. And that's feeling a lot better. And you're going to say, really? This feels really, really watery. And I'm going to be like, yup, because you're going to see it will work. Anyway, what happens, Corey, if I throw my entire cup of milk in there and then it's too runny? Well, add a little bit of flour, but we're still doing okay on this. We're still doing all right here. I still feel a little bit. There we go. I actually poured more than a cup of milk in this container, and I have so I have in here just about, let me get a spoon so you can see what that looks like. Because you want it to be able to coat the spoon. There you go. Can you see that? Because that's all the amount of dough that we need, or batter rather, on our tool when we're frying it up. So you just want to have it like this, where it just coats your spoon. And it's still, see how it's still dripping off? That's okay. That's all right. So it's just going to have enough where it just coats it, and you can still see through a little bit. All right, so that's it. It's super, super simple, guys. That's our batter. That's mixed up. I would not use a hand mixer with this, because you're going to whip the eggs too much and get too much air in there. So this is all it is. And then what we're going to do with this is we're going to put this in the fridge for half an hour, and then we're going to come back and make our buñuelos de viento. So I'm going to put plastic wrap on this because it's a little down further. So make sure that air is going to not be in there. So there we go. We're going to put this in the fridge, just regular fridge, for half an hour, and then we'll come back. Woohoo! Cookie lovers, I've moved over to the stove because we're going to prepare for the actual frying. What we need is an oil that you're going to use. I'm going to use canola oil. You want to use a flavorless oil because you don't want your buñuelo to take on the strong oil flavor of something like, let's say, olive oil. You don't want to do that this time. You want to use something that's nice and light. We're going to fill a pot, something like this, and you need to make sure that it's wide enough for your tool to fit in there. I have checked. I have two. I have the big one and the small one. That just fits just right. And we're going to do these one at a time because they fry up very, very quickly. We're going to have the oil in there, and we're going to test by putting a drop of the batter in there to make sure that it's hot enough. But you don't want it so hot that it's going to scorch your batter. You're also going to need a tool to flip these around. You can use some chopsticks. I like to use these because I can grab that, turn it, because really it fries in a matter of seconds. And you don't want it to get too dark. And remember, even after you take it off, it still has a little bit of oil on it, so it'll continue cooking and it'll darken a little bit more. And so what we're going to do is, once we heat up our oil to a medium warm temperature, it's a little bit, not super hot, right? Then what we're going to do is place our tool into the oil, because we want this tool to also be warm. We want this to be hot when we place it in our batter. So we're going to have this, and then I have paper towels on the side. You will see. So I'm going to let this heat up. It takes probably the very first time you use it, you're going to put it in that hot oil, and it'll be in there for probably about 20 seconds or so before it gets warm. And then after that, you're going to warm it up each time between dips into the batter, but it'll only take about 10 to 15 seconds because it'll already be warm. Don't touch it once it's warm, right? So what we're going to do is heat that up, take it out, place it on a piece of, let's say, paper towel, so that it's not dripping with oil. Just dab it a little bit, and then we're going to dab that into our batter. What you want to do ideally is get the batter up the side of this, but not on the top. If you get it on the top, then it'll fry up right away and it'll stay stuck onto your tool. So you want to make sure that you get it up a little bit of the side of this, but not on the top. Once you dip it in there, you'll see me move it over very quickly to the oil, and then I place it in there. If you just place this whole, I've tried this, place the whole thing in there, you get excited, and then it starts to get stuck to here. So as soon as it touches the oil, it starts to fry up, you just need to kind of dab it in there, and it'll float in the oil. You place this on the side near a, something that, like a paper towel again, and then you're going to want to turn this very quickly. It only fries up for about 5 seconds, 6, 7 seconds on each side. Remember, when you take it off, it's going to continue cooking because it still has some of that hot oil on there. You don't want them black. It takes a couple of tries, but it's fun. And you got lots of batter. You can make lots of buñuelos. So let's get to it. Super excited because I really love these. You also want to have your cinnamon sugar ready because when they come out, you're going to put that on there. Delish, delish, delish. Joey Cookie Lovers, I have all of my setup here. I just brought the batter out from the fridge. It's cold. We're gonna leave it like that. And the good thing is that this can keep overnight, so or a couple days, as long as you keep that film on top. And so you don't have to make them all at once. I have my oil heating up right now, and I have my tool inside, so it's getting warm. I have my other tool here. Let me move that out of the way. If you have the benefit of a candy thermometer, we're talking about the one with the oil about 350 to 65 degrees, not over the hot. We certainly don't want it to have that roiling boil. As soon as I have that here and it's fried, you're gonna be able to see. I have a couple of tools. I have these tongs. You can absolutely use chopsticks. I also have these little kind of tools that I found in my drawer for probably appetizers, and so I thought, let's try to see if maybe those will help as well. It's certainly better to heat this slowly. So I have it at a low temperature, heating up slowly rather than heat it up super, super quickly. After they're fried, I'm going to put them in this plate so that some of the oil can drain. And then in this platter, I will add the cinnamon sugar so that we can coat them. And then over here, I'll have them all nice and pretty and ready to go for my guests. So what I'm going to show you here, let me move this a little bit so that you can see the batter a little better. Let's see if they can let me move that back. There we go. And you can probably see, here's my batter. And so I have my tool in here already. And remember, it's getting warm. And then I have my paper towel so that we can dab that and make sure that there's not a ton of oil dripping into our bowl. Let me get this so you can see a little bit better. Stand, so there we go. I think we can see everything here. All right, now I've got my tool in that hot oil. And I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to let some of it drain off. I'm not dragging hot oil everywhere. I'm going to let it dab in here. Oops, forgot to take this plastic off. Move that to the side. Certainly don't want that. Okay, this is going to be heated up. This is going to be warm. Heat that up. And then we want to just touch it in there. You'll hear a little sizzle. A little sizzle. There we go, just to the edges. And then we're going to bring, it seems like it's very little dough. Nope, see? Then I dumped it in there. I will definitely, look, am I going to turn it? Because it takes that many seconds for these to be fried up. It doesn't take long at all. There we go. I'm going to show you. This one's almost even too much. Look. Can you see that going? Look how he's already getting too dark. Because I was like, oh, he doesn't look like he's getting dark enough, but he's almost too dark. Let me put him. No, it's about the right color. He's brown. In there. I will zoom in on this, but I'm going to do another one to show you. Let me get this back in here. So that's going to heat up a little. So now I've drained him there on that. These are super crisp, guys. There's so little batter that you get on your tool that these come out so thin. Look, these are, you can tell how thin this is. You can almost see through it. Look, it's very crisp. Really good. Hey. Oh my goodness. If you have someone in your family who can't eat the extra sugar, oh, these are so good already. Oh, these are good just like this. I'll make another one. Oh my gosh. That is like, holy moly, that's good. Okay. Let's make one. Another one. We'll get this cinnamon sugar on it this time. Really good. Okay. It's already hot. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I'm going to try to be quiet. When I hit this into my batter, you will hear a little bit of a sizzle. You can hear it? Right to the edges. And then we'll bring it over and then just droop and shake it off. And it floats right in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's turn it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all it takes. That's really all it takes, guys. 10 seconds. And look, it's done. That's all. Put it on that side. Okay, I'll zoom in on how I drop that in there. And I see my oil is starting to bubble up. I don't want that. I can see it getting hot, so I'm going to take that off for a little bit. It's hard to manage on these electric stoves. Look how pretty that is, guys. Look at that pretty color. So that's already drained. So while since my oil's a little too warm, I'm going to take this, put it in here. I have my cinnamon sugar that I'm just going to coat my, oh, look at that, it's still hot. In here in the back. And there's my Buñuelo de Viento. Oh, that's cinnamon sugar. It was already super dry. Maybe I need to do that when it's more oily so it'll stick. Certainly there are grooves there that will hold that cinnamon sugar. I want to eat it. Well, why not? Cut. Oh, hell yeah. Oh my goodness. I certainly will make some for my guests, but we need to taste test. Closer. Okay. Let me dab that. And then, here we go. Up to the sides only, not on the top. Very, very thin layer of that dough. And then watch. Boop, 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 let go. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then let's take this guy out. Oh, he's a little blonde. Let's get him in there. I think that oil did cool off a little. Look how pretty that is. He's just as good. Look how crispy he's at. And like I said, you can make them, put them in a box, and you can have them the next day or the next day. I've had them 2 days later, and they're still crisp as long as they're, you don't have to refrigerate them, just put them in a closed container, and then you can serve those to your guests, or you can just have one. Like, sometimes you want something sweet, but you don't want to overdo it. Look how thin this is, guys. This is like super duper duper thin. So it's like, oh, I just want something sweet. Crunchy. Fantastic. You'll impress your guests because they're like, oh my gosh, they're so fancy and they're so fat. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. We are so fancy. Oh, we are. We are. Yes, we are.